Diagnosed as Maura Tierney. I was slated to come back to the show, and the writers incorporated that storyline because of my personal experience, which is why I'm here to talk about my personal experience on this campaign called Chemo Myths or Facts.
Mm-hmm. And tell me a little bit about the campaign.
Well, it's where Dr. Cobb and myself are working with Amgen, and it's a campaign to raise awareness for people who are undergoing or about to undergo chemotherapy as treatment for a cancer diagnosis. Because from my personal experience, I had an extreme amount of anxiety about the treatment, and we're just trying to encourage people to get as much factual information as they can to hopefully help allay some of their fears about, what's going to happen to them.
Well, you get a diagnosis like that, I would imagine there's a lot, because everybody hears the stories of somebody else who had chemo. But what was your personal experience with it? Was it as bad as you thought it was going to be? Not as bad?
It wasn't. I mean, and again, everybody's different, and they're all different, protocols, and everybody's treatment is different. But I found that the treatment was much more manageable than I had anticipated, and it is not fun, and it's not easy. But it was much more manageable, as I say, than I had anticipated. And if I had believed that and, really recognized that before I started treatment, I think it would have helped me.
What did you think about them writing that storyline into that show, judging on the real-life experience that you were having? Was that something that, did you have to think about that for a second, or did you say, no, let's do it? I
thought about it for a second. I did. It's a personal, it's personal. But Peter Toll and Dennis Leary, I trust them a lot. They're great writers, and they allowed me to really contribute and correct them on things that they were wrong about. So they listened to what I had to say about their writing, and I really trusted them. They're great guys. So ultimately, I think it was a good thing.
All right, we'll be back with Maura Tierney and Kenny Chesney. Come over on the Harbors New Country KIX 95.3. Good morning, Luceman KIX Morning Show. And we're speaking with actress Maura Tierney and Dr. Patrick Cobb, talking about Maura's personal experience battling breast cancer, but more specifically, her experience with the chemotherapy and the treatment.
Doctor, what is it about the treatment that most people are afraid of, and why should they not be, other than that it will save their life or could extend their life?
Well, there's a lot of physical things that go along with chemotherapy, but then there's a lot of anxiety that's associated with it. Patients hear things from family members or friends or things that they've read on the Internet. So there's a lot of information out there. Some of it's good, some of it's not so good. One of the common things that people talk about is, well, if I'm on chemotherapy, I can't be around my grandkids, or I can't go to the grocery store, I can't go to church, things like that. I have to separate myself from everybody else. And for most people, that's just not the case. Most people can carry on a fairly normal lifestyle. That's one of the things that Maura and I have been working on with Amgen in this campaign, the Chemotherapy Myths or Facts campaign. Try to dispel some of these myths and get the facts out there. There's a website that's associated with it called chemomythsorfacts.com, and in that website there's a lot of information that will help people and their family members understand what happens during chemotherapy and what to expect.
Maura, did your experience on ER, did that scare you a little bit about going into this? Because obviously that show played everything, for the worst.
Right. Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I think it was a great show. It was a wonderful experience, but, it wasn't real.
Right.
And so as much as we tried to be real and as realistic as the show was and tried to be, it's very different when you're not acting.
And that's a good point, is that people see things on television and they see things on the Internet. They come to us with a lot of preconceived notions. And that's one of the things that we're trying to get out is what's real about taking chemotherapy. The information that's included on the website, chemomythsorfacts.com, will help get some of that real information out to people.
And hopefully, the more correct, factual information people have, it'll just make their treatment a little bit more tolerable.
The website that's associated with this program is called chemomythsorfacts.com. We encourage patients that are going through chemotherapy or they're about to, and especially their family members, to visit that site because there's an awful lot of great information.
But Maura, real quick, what are we going to see you on next?
I'm pretty sure I'm going to be on TV in the fall. I have not quite finalized what exactly, I don't know, it's not a done deal yet, but I'm pretty sure.
Well, we're looking forward to it, whatever it is. I appreciate you guys taking the time and check out the website, and thank you so much for sharing your experience with us.
Thank you.
All right, Maura Tierney, Dr. Patrick Cobb. And that website, one more time if you want to check it out for yourself, is chemomythsorfacts.com.
Have you heard Connaught Beach Resort and Casino is having Hell's Bells